If you've been taking zinc to improve your circulation for months and you still wake up with numb hands, cold feet, and that feeling that your blood just isn't flowing the way it should, I need you to listen to this. Recent research from the hospital clinic in Barcelona has shown something that the supplement industry prefers to ignore. There's a natural food that increases arterial vasodilation by up to 64%. And the most surprising thing is that it works while you sleep, precisely when your body needs it the most. In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain why the zinc you're taking could be failing you, what really happens in your arteries after 50, and how a simple handful of walnuts before bed can do for your circulation what months of supplements haven't. And no, it's not magic. It's biochemistry. But before we continue, let me ask you a question. Have you ever woken up in the morning and felt that tingling sensation in your hands, as if your blood had stopped circulating overnight? Or perhaps you've noticed that by the end of the day, your legs feel heavy, as if you're wearing ankle weights, making climbing the stairs in the subway or across the parking lot a real chore. Maybe you wear socks to bed even in the summer while your partner sleeps uncovered, or you experience that go explain fatigue mid-morning just when the effects of your coffee wear off and you go back to feeling like you haven't slept at all. If any of these situations sound familiar to you, I want you to know something important. You're not alone. And more importantly, this doesn't have to be your new normal. I've seen many men in your shoes. Men who exercise regularly, who watch their diet, who take their sun religiously every night. Men who on paper should have enviable circulation, and yet they still carry that heaviness, that feeling that something isn't working as it should. The difference between them and the men who wake up feeling energized with warm hands and light legs isn't genetics, it's not luck. It's a hidden pattern that has to do with what they eat, when they eat it, and how their bodies process those nutrients throughout the night. I'm Carmen Navarro. For over 20 years, I've been researching and sharing scientific studies on men's health to help men make informed decisions about their well-being. What I've seen time and time again is that many men turn to supplements looking for quick fixes, but end up frustrated because no one explains how nutrient absorption in the body actually works. And when it comes to circulation, this knowledge gap can mean the difference between feeling vital and drag your feet each day. Today, I want to share with you what the latest research is telling us. Apakara for many about that you probably already have in your kitchen. A food that has been part of the Mediterranean diet for centuries, and that modern science is rediscovering for its effects on the vascular system. But to understand why this food works so well, you first need to understand what's really going on inside your arteries. And for that, I'm going to use an image that will help you visualize it clearly. Imagine that your circulatory system is like the irrigation system of a garden. The arteries are the main hoses. And in order for water to reach each plant, each cell in your body, those hoses need to be flexible and able to expand when there is greater demand. When you were young, you produced abundant nitric oxide. This molecule acts as the master valve of that irrigation system. Nitric oxide relaxes the walls of the arteries, allowing them to expand and blood to flow without resistance. This is what scientists call endothelium-dependent vasodilation. Your arteries were flexible, responsive, capable of adapting to the demands of the moment. When you exercised, they expanded to bring more blood to your muscles. When you slept, they maintained a constant flow that allowed tissue repair. But after age 52, critical changes occur that alter this balance. First, the natural production of nitric oxide decreases significantly. Some studies suggest it can drop by as much as 50% compared to where you were at age 25. It's like the master valve. In each valve in your irrigation system starts to rust, making it harder to move. Second, the endothelium loses its elasticity. The endothelium is the tissue that lines the inside of your arteries, and over time it becomes stiffer, less responsive. It's like your garden hose is becoming stiff and brittle after decades in the sun. Even if you turn the tap on full blast, the water just doesn't flow as freely. This dual deterioration explains why so many men over 50 feel like their circulation isn't what it used to be. It's not just imagination. It's not complaining. It's biology. This is where walnuts come into play in a way you might not expect. Walnuts contain arginine and amino acid that your body uses directly to make nitric oxide in place one. It's not some distant precursor that has to go through multiple transformations. It's direct built material that your arteries need. But that's not all. Walnuts are also rich in alpha-linolenic acid, which is a plant-based omega-3, and they contain natural melatonin, something very few foods can offer, palang irabal. This unique combination means that when you eat them at night, you are providing your body with the exact materials it needs to repair and relax your arteries and hours of sleep. And it is during sleep that most cell regeneration occurs, including repair of the vascular endothelium mediastinale. It is like giving a gardener all the materials he needs right before he starts his night shift. If you think information like this should reach more men, leave a like and subscribe. Your support helps this content reach those who need it most. Taratasana. Now that you understand how your internal irrigation system works and why it starts to fail after 50, I need to show you the 3 mistakes that more than 70% of men make without realizing it when trying to improve their circulation equation. And the first one may surprise you because it has to do precisely with that Z you may be taking every night. These are the obstacles in your path, the mistakes that could unknowingly be sabotaging all your efforts to improve your circulation. The good news is that once you identify them, you can eliminate them. The first mistake I call the lone mineral. This mistake involves taking zinc supplements in isolation, often in high doses, thinking that more will mean better results. The pattern is all too common. A man goes to the drugstore, buys a bottle of zinc, reads on the label that it helps with circulation and male function, and starts taking it every night without considering anything else. Why does it seem harmless? Because zinc has a great reputation. It's in all the men's vitamins. It's marketed for prostate health, immune health, the testosterone. It seems like a safe bet. After all, it's a naturally occurring mineral. What harm can it do? But here's the problem. Studies show that the bioavailability of zinc from supplements is between 20 and 30%. This means that out of a 25 milligram pill, your body uses at most out 7 or 8 milligrams. The rest is eliminated without having fulfilled any function. But the problem goes beyond limited absorption. Zinc in high doses competes with the absorption of copper and iron, 2 minerals essential for circulation. Copper is necessary for the formation of red blood cells and to maintain the elasticity of blood vessels. Iron transports oxygen in the blood. In other words, by taking zinc alone in high doses, you could be creating deficiencies in other nutrients that your circulatory system desperately needs. You're trying to fill one hole while opening 2 others. But the second mistake is even more deceptive because it disguises itself as something that we have all heard is healthy. The second mistake I call the wrong timing. This mistake consists of consuming in foods or supplements for circulation at any time of day, usually in the morning with breakfast or mid-afternoon, without considering the body's biological rhythms. Conventional logic says, equate. If it is good for me, It does not matter when I take it. The important thing is to take it. Many men add their supplements or nuts to breakfast because that's when they remember to eat them. It seems reasonable, but chronology research reveals something that changes this Preet Mundi's perspective entirely. Your body has very specific repair windows. Nitric oxide synthesis, endothelial repair, and melatonin production all follow very distinct circadian rhythms. Maximum vascular regeneration happens during the first few hours of deep sleep, roughly between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., a crucial period for the body's recovery and repair. It's as if your body has a nighttime maintenance crew that only works during those hours. If the nutrients that support these processes aren't available in the blood during this window, the body works with the materials it has apathy, and often those materials are insufficient. It's as if the maintenance crew shows up to work and finds the warehouse empty. The third mistake is the one I see most often made by men who are really trying to do the right thing. And this is where it gets interesting because it has to do with a deeply held belief about fat. The third mistake I call the nighttime calorie phobia, UNTA. This mistake consists of avoiding eating anything with calories after 8 p.m., especially foods considered fatty such as nuts. Men eat a light dinner or even skip dinner and go to bed on an empty stomach, all for fear of gaining weight. Not eating at night makes you lose weight is one of the most repeated mantras in the world of diets, and nuts, with their 650 calories per 100 grams, should be eaten before bed if you want to stay in shape, ETN. However, research published in scientific journals such as Current Developments in Nutrition show something surprising and nating. Those who eat nuts daily not only do not gain more weight, but tend to maintain a more stable weight than those who avoid them. But there is something more important for circulation. When you go to sleep without the amino acids that are precursors of nitric oxide, such as L-arginine found in nuts, your body cannot carry out the nocturnal synthesis of this vasodilator molecule, the saleyana. It is like asking a bricklayer to build a wall without bricks. You can have all the will in the world, but without materials, no. Construction is possible. Let me tell you Francisco's story. He is 62 years old, a retired accountant. He came to this information after 3 years of taking highly absorbed zinc without noticing any improvement in his circulation. Every night, before going to sleep, Francisco took his 50 milligram zinc pill with a glass of water. He had been told that it was good for the prostate, the immune system, and circulation. He followed the routine religiously for years, but he continued to wake up with numb hands. He still felt the heavy legs that had been with him since he was 55. He didn't understand what was happening. What Francisco didn't know was that he was making all three mistakes simultaneously. He was taking an isolated mineral that competed with other essential nutrients. He did it right before going to sleep, when the intestine is already in rest mode and absorption is minimal. And he avoided any caloric foods after 7 in the evening for fear of gaining weight. His body didn't have the precursors needed to manufacture nitric oxide during the nighttime repair window. The maintenance team would arrive at the warehouse every night and find it empty. Francisco told me something that stuck with me. I thought I was doing everything right. I had my supplement routine, my bedtime, but zinc was never going to give me what my arteries needed. Before we go into the solutions, I want to remind you of something important. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making any significant changes to your diet or stopping any supplements that have been prescribed for you. Now that we have identified the obstacles, let me show you the steps of transformation. There are 3 solutions that can change the way your body works at night. The first solution I call the 40 minus nut ritual. The specific action is this. Consume exactly 40 Gs of walnuts, which is approximately 8 to 10 whole walnuts melee 2 to 3 hours before bed. It can be eaten as a snack, added to plain yogurt, or simply on its own while watching TV. Why does it work? Research from the University of Barcelona published in the journal Food and Function showed that this specific amount significantly increases melatonin biomarkers in nighttime urine. Walnuts simultaneously provide several key nutrients: L-arginine, which is the direct precursor of nitric oxide; tryptophan, which is the precursor of melatonin; magnesium, which acts as a muscle and vascular relaxant; vitamins B5 and B6, which are cofactors in hormone synthesis; and plant-based melatonin. Imagine equipping your body with a fully stocked toolbox rather than just a single screwdriver. How can you implement this tomorrow? Tonight, take 8 to 10 walnuts and put them in a small bowl next to where you usually sit to watch TV or read after dinner. Eat them mindfully, chewing them well. You don't need to buy anything special or change your routine drastically. What results can you expect? Many men report that after 4 weeks of consistency, they notice less time to fall asleep, less heaviness in their legs upon waking, and that forgotten feeling of waking up more rested. Studies show improvements in sleep latency and sleep efficiency starting in the 4th week. The next solution is equally powerful and can be implemented in conjunction with the first to enhance the effects. The second solution I call the 4-hour buffer. The specific action is this. If you currently take zinc, iron, calcium, or any other mineral supplements, separate your intake of them from walnuts by at least 4 hours. So, alchemist, ideally, take your supplements in the morning and save the walnuts for the afternoon or evening. Why does it work? Minerals compete for the same intestinal transporters. When you take zinc and walnuts at the same time, you create a waiting line in your gut where one blocks the absorption of the other. Walnuts also contain zinc, as well as copper and other minerals, so the competition intensifies. By separating them temporarily, you allow each nutrient to have its optimal absorption window without interference. It's like organizing your entry times into a building to avoid traffic jams at the door. How can you implement this tomorrow? Review what time you currently take your supplements. If you take them in the evening, switch them to the morning with breakfast. If you already take them in the morning, great. Just save the nuts for the afternoon. The important thing is to separate them temporarily by at least 4 hours. What results can you expect? Men who implement this separation often notice that the supplements they were already taking seem to work better. Not because the supplements have changed, but because they are now being absorbed properly. It's common to hear comments like, I've been taking zinc for years and never noticed anything, but since I separated it from the nuts, I feel like it actually does something dumb. The third solution comes full circle and maximizes everything we've talked about by turning your sleep into a vascular repair session. The third solution I call the darkness protocol. The specific action is this. Combine walnut consumption with an environment that supports natural melatonin production. This means reducing exposure to bright lights and screens at least an hour before bedtime and sleeping in total darkness or wearing an eye mask, eye mask. Why does melatonin from walnuts work? It's only part of the equation. Your body produces its own melatonin, but this production is dramatically inhibited by exposure to blue light. Screens from phones, tablets, computers, and bright LED lights all send a signal to your brain that it's still daytime. When you combine exogenous melatonin from walnuts with an environment that allows your pineal gland to produce its own melatonin, you create a synergistic effect. It's like having two engines working in the same direction instead of just one. And there's something else you should know. Melatonin doesn't just regulate sleep. It also has antioxidant properties that protect the vascular endothelium during the night. When you have adequate melatonin levels, your arteries receive a dual defense, active repair and protection from oxidative damage. How can you implement this tomorrow? An hour before your usual bedtime, dim the lights in your home. Activate the blue light filter on your phone, which most phones already have. Eat your nuts during this hour of twilight. When you go to bed, make sure the room is as dark as possible. Even the light from your alarm clock counts, so consider covering it or turning it toward the wall. What results can you expect? This combination of chronobiological nutrients and optimized environment often results in what many describe as real sleep for the first time in years. But beyond sleep, studies suggest that this synchronization allows nighttime vascular repair processes to operate at peak capacity. Men report waking up with less stiffness in their joints, warmer hands, first thing in the morning, and that feeling of clean energy that doesn't depend on stimulants like coffee, YZ. Now, let me tell you what happened to Miguel. He's 58 years old. He is an architect, and his story shows how these changes work in practice. Miguel implemented the 3 changes gradually, without rushing or stressing. The first week, he simply added the 40g of walnuts to his evening routine while watching the news. He didn't change anything else, just the walnuts. The second week, he moved his zinc supplement to the morning, a simple change that took him exactly 1 second of effort. The third week, he started dimming the lights an hour before bed. He bought a couple of warm light bulbs for the living room and activated the filter on his phone. The first 2 weeks, he didn't notice anything dramatic. Maybe he slept a little better, but it could be his management. He wasn't sure. It was in the 4th week that his wife told him something that surprised him. Have you noticed you don't wake up at 3 in the morning to go to the bathroom anymore? Miguel hadn't noticed it consciously, but it was true. The nighttime interruptions had disappeared without him realizing it. He also began to notice that the stairs in the studio, the ones he climbed every day, no longer left him breathless as they used to. 6 weeks into eating walnuts, Miguel had his annual medical examination scheduled for it. His doctor asked him what had he changed because his blood pressure readings had improved slightly compared to the previous year. Miguel later told me, "My body wasn't broken. I was just giving it the wrong stuff at the wrong time. Walnuts aren't magic. They're simply what my system needed to do its nightly job." And that sentence pretty much sums up what this is all about. We're not talking about miracles. We're not talking about magic bullets. We're talking about giving your body what it needs when it needs it, so it can do the job it already knows how to do. Let's put everything we've covered together. The path to transformation is clear. First, we understood that your circulatory system works like an irrigation system that needs nitric oxide to keep your arteries flexible, and that after age 50, this production decreases significantly, sometimes by as much as 50% less than when you were younger. Second, we identified the 3 mistakes that are sabotaging your efforts. The lone mineral that competes for absorption with other essential nutrients, the wrong timing that wastes the nighttime repair window, and the nighttime calorie phobia that leaves your body without the building materials it needs. And third, we discovered that 40g of walnut shaken at the right time and in the right environment can give your body exactly what it needs to optimize circulation while you sleep. The choice is yours. You can continue taking isolated supplements and expect different results, or you can start tomorrow with a simple handful of walnuts before bed. Small changes repeated with consistency build results that you will feel then. We are not talking about revolutionizing your life or following complicated diets. We are talking about giving your body what it has asking for years and years. If this video gave you a new perspective, leave a like so I know it was helpful, and tell me in the comments which of these 3 mistakes you recognized in yourself, or which of the 3 solutions you are going to implement first. I love reading your experiences. Until next time, I'm Carmen Navarro. Stay informed, stay vital, and remember, knowledge is the first step towards a healthy life. Your best years are not behind you. They can start now. You've spent your life taking care of everyone else, your family, your job, your responsibilities. Now it's time to take care of yourself. Care for yourself. A walnut might be all you need to get started. Important note, this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making any changes to your diet or supplementation, especially if you have pre-existing medical conditions or are taking medications. Walnuts may cause allergic reactions in sensitive individuals.